Ladies, hear me clearly. Your life will rise or fall by the habits you practice when the world isn't looking. Destiny doesn't show up because you wished for it. It shows up because you prepared for it. Every woman who walks in strength, clarity, and purpose didn't get there by accident. She built her life one choice at a time, one discipline at a time, one habit at a time. And if you are ready to elevate, ready to transform, ready to step into the highest version of yourself, then you must master the daily habits that shape powerful women. First, you must learn to command your mornings. A woman who rises with intention sets the atmosphere for her entire day. Before chaos calls your name, before responsibilities start pulling on you, take that sacred time to align your mind, center your spirit, and speak purpose over your day. The morning is where you build a momentum, and momentum is what carries you through every challenge. Then you must guard your mind like a fortress. Your thoughts are the architects of your reality. Be selective about what you allow inside. Feed your mind wisdom, truth, and vision. Let go of the voices that shrink you and the narratives that chain you. You cannot walk in power with a mind full of poison. Protect your peace, filter your thoughts, and cultivate a mental environment where confidence can thrive. Honor your body because it is your first home. Too many women give their best to everyone else and leave themselves empty. Your strength, energy, and clarity all flow from how well you care for the vessel carrying your purpose. Move daily. Rest intentionally. Nourish consistently. Your body doesn't need perfection. It needs partnership. Treat it with the respect your future requires. Set fierce boundaries to protect your peace. Peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Say no without guilt. Release relationships that drain you. Distance yourself from conversations that don't align with your growth. A woman who knows her value does not allow chaos to have constant access to her. Guard your emotional space like a treasure, because that is exactly what it is. Build discipline instead of chasing motivation. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that burns long after the spark fades. Show up on the days you're tired. Show up on the days you don't feel like it. Show up on the days when nothing around you is inspiring. Every act of discipline is a declaration that you are committed to your future more than your feelings. Speak life over yourself daily. The world will try to name you, define you, and confine you. But you must remind yourself who you are. Affirm your strength. Affirm your worth. Affirm your purpose. Your words have power. And when you speak boldly, you begin to live boldly. Practice gratitude with intention. Gratitude shifts your perspective, lifts your spirit, and grounds you in what is working instead of what is missing. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect. It means acknowledging that even in imperfection, there is goodness, growth, and grace. Make learning a daily habit. A growing woman is an unstoppable woman. Read, listen, ask questions. Study people who have gone where you want to go. The more you learn, the more your world expands. Choose consistency over perfection. Perfection is a trap, but consistency is transformation. Small daily choices compound into massive results. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to keep showing up. And above all, walk boldly in your God-given identity every single day. You are not here by accident. You are not ordinary. You are not meant to live small. Stand in your truth, own your voice, carry your calling with confidence. When you walk boldly in who you were created to be, the world cannot help but make room for the impact you carry. Mastering your mornings is not just an act of discipline, it is an act of declaration. It is announcing to the world and to yourself that your day will not control you, you will control your day. When a woman chooses to rise with intention, she steps into a realm of clarity and confidence that many never experience. The morning is not simply a time on the clock. It is a sacred threshold where purpose is shaped, battles are won, and identity is strengthened before you ever speak a word to another human being. Your morning is the moment heaven whispers direction, and your habits decide whether you hear it. Most people wake up reacting. They roll out of bed already behind, already overwhelmed, already tangled in the noise of yesterday's worries. But a woman who masters her morning rises physically, emotionally, spiritually, with a deliberate calm. The world hasn't started pulling at her yet. Responsibilities haven't started crowding her mind. That quiet hour becomes the most powerful hour she owns. In that softness, in that silence, her mind has room to breathe. Her spirit has room to listen, and her purpose has room to speak clearly. The first habit you must embrace is the power of stillness. Before you grab your phone, before you check messages, before you let the world rush into your thoughts, you pause. This is where you gather your strength. This is where your soul aligns with your calling. Silence is not emptiness, it is formation. It is in quiet moments that ideas rise, clarity sharpens, and direction becomes unmistakable. You give yourself a chance to enter the day connected rather than scattered. Then comes intention, not just planning, but understanding why the day matters. Anyone can make a list, but a purposeful woman sets a direction. She doesn't wake up asking, "What do I need to do today?" She asks, "Oh, do I need to become today?" That shift transforms tasks into assignments and transforms a simple morning into a launch pad for strength. Writing your intentions, speaking your affirmations, or simply grounding your emotions in gratitude establishes momentum that carries through every challenge the day might bring. Mastering your morning also means honoring your energy. Your mind is most open, your heart is most centered, and your spirit is most receptive before chaos arrives. This is the time to pour into yourself, to read something that elevates you, meditate on truths that steady you, listen to something that expands you. Your mind is soil, and whatever you plant in the morning grows all day long. If you feed yourself negativity, doubt, and distraction, your day will mirror it. But if you feed yourself wisdom, strength, and clarity, you walk into the world grounded and unshakable. There is also power in movement. Even a few minutes of activity wakes not just your body, but your confidence. Movement sends a signal to your brain that you are alive, ready, and capable. It lifts your mood, sharpens your focus, and ignites your drive. A woman who moves her body in the morning tells herself, "I am here. I am strong. I am ready." That physical awakening becomes mental and emotional fuel. Mastering your mornings demands consistency. It's not about perfection, it's about priority. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you feel uninspired, days when you feel pulled in too many directions. But the woman who shows up for herself, especially on those days, cultivates a power that cannot be taken from her. The morning becomes her anchor, her sanctuary, her strategy, and once she learns to dominate her mornings, she becomes equipped to dominate anything the day brings. Guarding your mind like a fortress is not a passive act. It is a daily battle fought with intention, awareness, and uncompromising vigilance. Your mind is the birthplace of your dreams, the engine of your decisions, and the commander of your emotions. Whatever enters, it shapes what exits your life. A woman who protects her mind protects her destiny. A woman who defends her thoughts defends her power. Everything you allow inside your mind, every voice, every message, every memory, every doubt becomes a building block in the structure of your character. If you do not guard the gate, anything is free to walk in and rewrite your identity. The world is loud, full of opinions, pressure, comparison, and noise that pushes its way into your thoughts before you even realize it. That is why guarding your mind is a conscious act. You do not wait for peace to appear, you create it. You do not wait for clarity to show up, you curate it. You refuse to give your mental space to anything that weakens your confidence, steals your joy, or distracts your purpose. Protecting your mind means identifying what empowers you and what drains you, and choosing every single day to let in only what strengthens your spirit. It begins with your self-talk. The words you whisper to yourself shape the limits of your courage and the freedom of your actions. You must speak life into your mind before life challenges you. Replace doubt with truth. Replace fear with possibility. Replace insecurity with identity. When you speak to yourself with authority, you silence the internal narratives that were never written for your future. You begin to understand that your mind is not a dumping ground for old wounds or the criticisms of others, but a treasury for wisdom, strength, and vision. Guarding your mind also means being selective about what you consume. Books, conversations, music, social media, these are not neutral. They plant seeds. They sow beliefs. They shape your perspective. A strong woman knows that her mind cannot thrive on a diet of negativity, gossip, or mental junk food. She chooses content that elevates her understanding, sharpens her discernment, and expands her vision. She surrounds herself with voices that push her forward, not pull her backward. What you hear consistently becomes what you believe eventually, and what you believe becomes how you live. The people around you play a significant role in the protection of your mind. Not everyone deserves proximity. Not every voice deserves influence. You must learn to distance yourself from individuals who manipulate your peace, challenge your worth, or poison your perspective with their unresolved issues. Guarding your mind means guarding your circle. It means choosing relationships that bring clarity rather than confusion, inspiration rather than insecurity, and support rather than sabotage. A guarded mind does not allow toxic people to rent space in its thought patterns. Another essential aspect of mental protection is the practice of filtering. Not everything you hear must be accepted. Not every thought must be entertained. Not every fear must be believed. You must develop the skill of evaluating what enters your mind, questioning where it comes from, and deciding whether it aligns with the woman you are becoming. Filtering your thoughts is not denial, it is discipline. It is recognizing that not every idea deserves to grow roots in your consciousness. Guarding your mind like a fortress requires daily intention because your mind is the engine of your life. If you protect it, it will propel you. If you neglect it, it will limit you. The strength of your future depends on the strength of your thoughts, and the strength of your thoughts depends on your willingness to defend what enters the gates of your mind. Honoring your body as your first home begins with recognizing that it is the only place you will ever lie from your first breath to your last. It carries your purpose, holds your emotions, stores your history, and fuels your future. Too often, women pour into everyone else, giving their energy, their time, and their strength until their own bodies are left running on fumes. But your body is not an afterthought. It is not a tool to be pushed until it breaks. It is the foundation of your power, the vessel of your calling, and the physical expression of the life you are meant to live. When you care for it, you honor the life within you. When you neglect it, every other part of your journey suffers. Honoring your body means listening to it. Your body speaks in whispers long before it cries out in pain. Fatigue is not laziness. It is a warning. Stress is not weakness. It is a signal. Hunger, tension, aches, and cravings are not random inconveniences, but messages that something needs attention. Too many women learn to silence these signals pushing through exhaustion or ignoring imbalance because life demands so much from them. But a woman who honors her body learns to pause, to breathe, and to respond, because ignoring your body is ignoring the truth. It's trying to tell you movement plays a vital role in honoring your body. Movement is not punishment, and it is not about shrinking yourself to fit someone else's standards. It is about strengthening yourself so you can carry the weight of your dreams. Moving your body daily, even for a short time, awakens your energy, ignites endorphins, speeds clarity, and reminds you that you are alive. It builds not just muscle, but confidence. It teaches discipline, consistency, and resilience. When you move your body, you send a powerful message to your mind. I am worthy of care, and I am capable of strength. While fooling your body is another essential act of honor. What you put into your system becomes the energy that carries you through your responsibilities, your challenges, and your purpose. Feeding yourself whole, nourishing foods is not about restriction, but about respect. You deserve to feel energized, not sluggish. You deserve clarity, not fog. You deserve vitality, not depletion. A woman who honors her body chooses nourishment not because she is trying to look a certain way, but because she is cultivating longevity, wellness, and strength. Rest is a form of worship toward the body that is often neglected. We live in a culture that glorifies exhaustion, where sleeplessness is mistaken for dedication and burnout is seen as a badge of honor. But rest is not a sign of weakness. Rest is a strategy. It restores clarity, stabilizes emotions, strengthens immunity, and sharpens focus. When you deprive your body of rest, you deprive yourself of the capacity to think clearly and live fully. Making space for sleep, stillness, and recovery is one of the highest forms of self-respect. Honoring your body also means releasing the shame, criticism, and comparison that so many women carry. The world tries to tell women how they should look, what they should change, and who they should imitate, but comparison is a thief. It steals joy from your reflection, confidence from your posture, and gratitude from your existence. Your body is not flawed. It is uniquely designed to house your journey. When you embrace it with appreciation instead of judgment, you free yourself from battles that were never yours to fight. Your body is your first home, your shelter, your foundation, your partner in every dream and every challenge. When you honor it, nurture it, listen to it, and strengthen it, you create a life built on wholeness rather than depletion. Protecting your peace with fierce boundaries begins with understanding that peace is not something you stumble into. It is something you intentionally create. Peace is the atmosphere where your strength grows, your clarity sharpens, and your purpose breathes. Without it, you move through life in survival mode, constantly reacting instead of choosing. Constantly drained instead of empowered. Many women attempt to carry the weight of every demand, every expectation, every crisis, and every emotion that is handed to them, believing that saying yes to everything makes them strong. But true strength is not found in how much you tolerate. It is found in how much you refuse to allow into your life that does not belong there. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They keep the harmful out while protecting what is sacred within. To protect your peace, you must first recognize that not every problem requires your presence. Not every crisis needs your intervention. Not every request deserves your yes. You are not the answer to everyone's emergencies, and you are not responsible for fixing what others refuse to face. When you stretch yourself thin, trying to be everything for everyone, you eventually become nothing for yourself. Fierce boundaries remind you that your emotional energy is a resource, and like any resource, must be managed with wisdom. Saying yes to everything is a slow form of self-abandonment. Learning to say no is an act of self-respect. Boundaries also require clarity about what disrupts your peace. For some women, it is negative relationships that drain their energy. For others, it's overcommitment, people-pleasing, or environments that constantly pull them into chaos. Protecting your peace means identifying these sources and choosing intentionally to limit your exposure. This may mean stepping back from certain relationships, minimizing contact with people who thrive on conflict, or ending conversations that always leave you feeling depleted. You cannot hold on to your peace while holding on to everything that steals it. Another necessity of fierce boundaries is emotional distancing from things that are not yours to carry. Many women are wired to absorb the feelings, worries, and heaviness of others. They take on the emotional weight of family issues, work drama, friendships in crisis, and even strangers on the internet. But absorbing someone else's emotions does not heal them. It only damages you. You must learn to listen without absorbing, care without carrying, support without sacrificing your own well-being. You can be compassionate without becoming a container for other people's chaos. Protecting your peace also means creating boundaries with yourself. You must guard your inner dialogue, your habits, and your impulses just as fiercely as you guard your relationships. If your own thoughts attack your confidence, you must confront them. If your routines drain your energy, you must change them. If your reactions steal your joy, you must discipline them. Self-boundaries are often the hardest because they require you to hold yourself accountable for the peace you say you want. Time boundaries are equally powerful. When you are constantly rushing, constantly overbooked, constantly overwhelmed, peace has no room to exist. Creating space in your schedule, slowing down your pace, and refusing to fill every empty moment allows your mind to rest and your spirit to breathe. Your time is one of your greatest treasures, and any treasure left unprotected is easily stolen. Ultimately, fierce boundaries are a declaration of worth. They tell the world and yourself that your time matters, your energy matters, your emotions matter, and your peace matters. Boundaries do not make you difficult, they make you healthy. They do not make you selfish, they make you whole. Protecting your peace is not about keeping people out, but about keeping yourself intact as you move through a world that constantly tries to pull you apart. Building discipline instead of relying on motivation begins with understanding that motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. Motivation rises when life is exciting and disappears when challenges appear. It shows up when the weather is good, when the mood is right, when the path is smooth, and when the outcome feels close. But discipline stands firm regardless of how you feel. Discipline shows up when you're tired, when you're uninspired, when you're overwhelmed, and when the finish line is nowhere in sight. Motivation gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving long after motivation has faded. Many women wait for a surge of inspiration before they act, believing they need to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. Most breakthroughs happen on days when you didn't want to do the work, but did it anyway. Discipline teaches you that action creates momentum. Momentum creates consistency, and consistency creates transformation. When you build discipline, you no longer depend on emotional highs to carry you. You operate from commitment, not convenience. Discipline is built through repetition. Every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your sense of self-trust. When you say you will wake up early, and you do, you strengthen yourself. When you say you will drink water instead of soda and you follow through, you strengthen yourself. When you say you will complete a task and you show up, even when nobody is watching, you strengthen yourself. Discipline is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows through consistent training. Each act of discipline becomes a brick that builds the foundation of a stronger, more reliable version of you. To build discipline, you must also learn to master your environment. Your surroundings either support your growth or sabotage it. If your environment is cluttered, chaotic, or filled with distractions, your discipline will struggle. A disciplined woman creates conditions that make good choices easier and excuses irrelevant. She organizes her space, removes temptations, prepares ahead, and structures her routines to reduce decision fatigue. She understands that discipline is not just about willpower, it is about strategy. Another key to building discipline is embracing discomfort. Discipline requires you to do the things that stretch you, challenge you, and test your patience. Growth does not happen in comfort zones. It happens in the moments when you push yourself beyond what feels easy. When you train yourself to lean into discomfort instead of running from it, you realize that the things that once intimidated you no longer have power over you. Discipline transforms discomfort into strength and resistance into resilience. Accountability also fuels discipline. When you hold yourself responsible for your actions, you eliminate the space for excuses. You stop blaming your schedule, your emotions, your past, or your circumstances. You begin to recognize that discipline is a choice you make daily. It is not about perfection, it is about persistence. You show up even if you failed yesterday. You begin again even if you fell behind. You understand that discipline is a long game, and every day is another opportunity to build the life you want. Building discipline requires redefining success. Instead of focusing on massive outcomes, focus on tiny, consistent actions. The woman who commits to small steps every day will always surpass the woman who waits for the perfect moment. Small daily progress compiles into extraordinary transformation. Discipline is quiet but powerful. It does not brag, but it produces results that cannot be denied. When you build discipline, you take control of your habits, your decisions, and your destiny. You rise above excuses. You rise above delay. You rise above the unpredictable waves of emotion and anchor yourself in unwavering dedication to your growth. Walking boldly in your God-given identity means stepping into every room, every assignment, every season with the unshakable awareness of who you are and whose you are. It means refusing to shrink, refusing to apologize for your strength, refusing to dim your light because others are intimidated by its brightness. Your identity is not formed by opinions, circumstances, or the labels people attach to you. It is rooted in a truth that existed before your birth and will remain long after every challenge has passed. When you walk boldly, you are not pretending, performing, or proving. You are embodying the purpose, power, and authenticity that were woven into you from the very beginning. Too many women spend years searching for validation from people who were never meant to define them. They measure themselves by comparison and criticism, trying to fit into molds that were never made for them. But boldness begins where comparison ends. When you stop looking sideways and start looking inward, you discover that everything you thought you needed from the world was already placed within you. Your identity is not fragile. It is not up for negotiation. It is not dependent on whether others understand you. Walking boldly requires you to embrace the truth that you are already equipped, already called, already chosen, and already significant. To walk boldly, you must first learn to silence the internal voices that undermine your worth. Every woman has faced seasons where her confidence was shaken, where doubt crept in, where past wounds whispered lies about who she could become. But boldness comes from confronting those lies and replacing them with truth. When you speak truth over your life, truth about your strength, your resilience, your intelligence, your purpose, you begin to rise above the limitations you once accepted. Boldness is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear decide your future. Walking boldly also means embracing your uniqueness without apology, your gifts, your personality, your experiences, your scars, your victories. Everything about you is intentional. Nothing is random. Nothing is wasted. The things you thought disqualified you are often the very things that make you powerful. Instead of hiding the parts of yourself you think others won't understand, boldness invites you to own them fully. Authenticity is magnetic. When you show up as yourself without editing or performing, you give permission for others to do the same. Another essential part of walking in your identity is aligning your actions with your purpose. Boldness is not loudness. It is alignment. It is living in a way that reflects the calling placed on your life. It is making decisions based not on comfort, but on assignment. It is saying yes to what grows you and no to what diminishes you. It is turning your back on environments that suffocate your strength and moving towards spaces that honor your becoming. When your identity informs your decisions, you stop drifting and start directing your life with clarity. Walking boldly also requires resilience. There will be moments when people misunderstand your confidence as arrogance, when your boundaries are questioned, when your growth makes others uncomfortable. But boldness means continuing to rise even when the world pushes back. It is understanding that rejection cannot cancel your purpose. Criticism cannot shrink your calling, and adversity cannot erase who you are. Identity becomes your armor, your anchor, and your compass. To walk boldly is to stand tall in the truth that you were created with intention, designed with purpose, and destined for impact. It is choosing to live fully, speak confidently, move intentionally, and show up unapologetically as the woman you were always meant to be.